What is up, you beautiful gamers, and do we welcome back to Role-Playing Games. Today we're gonna be talking about gods and monsters, formerly known, I should say, because now we know it as Immortals, Fenyx Rising. This week we had a leak from the Microsoft Store that retitled the game and gave us some descriptions as well as some screenshots of the game. We're gonna have the Ubisoft Foward event on September 10th, Thursday, September 10th, next week. So it's a good time, I think. It's a good time to have this chatter and to talk about everything that we have confirmed and a little bit of discussion about this leak. We're gonna do a little briefing recap of everything we know, official details with sources in the video description about gameplay, story, open world, and all in all, what do we know so far about the game and what can we expect of it. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like to have these chatters with merry old James. I mean, if you like this stuff, consider sticking around. That out of the way, let's get into the matter, right? Like I said a few days ago, the game was shown at Microsoft Store, renamed as Immortals Fenyx Rising, with some screenshots of the game and a release date for December 10th of 2020. The thing was put down sometime after people started noticing it, although I guess that it's highly unlikely that the stuff that we got from it was false. My guess is that it will go live again on all platforms after they showcase it on Ubisoft Foward. But do take this with a grain of salt, since it's not confirmed at the time of this video, and this is just purely speculation from Mario James, right? On the confirmed stuff, we do have a whole lot to talk about. First, the narrative of the game. Taking in consideration the narrative approach on Assassin's Creed series, we all know that they take the history accuracy quite deeply. This time around they take a deeper approach on mythology rather than history, although they are going to take it with the same rigorous approach that we see in a historical game. Dr. Stephanie Anna Ruada, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but she's the historian consultant for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and she's gonna be sticking around for Immortals. She specializes on mythology, so we can expect the Greek mythos to be highly accurate for this game. The game is being made by the same developers of AC Odyssey, and while there is a high mark of myths in the previous mentioned title, they lean there much more on the historical narrative lines. The game main antagonist is gonna be Typhon. He's the last son of Gaia, and in Greek mythology, he is described as a monster with 100 dragon heads. He's associated with volcanic eruptions due to the dragon's heads. You see, the mythological approach that we have in some games, I myself, being a literature, philosophy and English teacher, find it to be really refreshing in a video game, and more so in video games where we do have authorities on the matter, where we do have people that specializes on the matter. Again, like I said, how many times have you passed your history exams or mythology tests thanks to God of War? It's nice to have games that actually take culture, and that's something that the game producers said in an interview. Take the culture, make it appealing, make it look good, and then throw it out to the public. Once you learn it there, you find yourself compelled to it. I'm not saying that it's gonna be fully accurate, but when we do have authorities on the matter, I think we can expect a highly rigorous approach in here. I'm keeping my hopes high for this one. Now, the reason for the main antagonist was that the developers wanted to have the main character to fight as many mythology monsters as possible, and Typhon is the perfect candidate for this, since he is the father of Cerberus, the Hydra, and the Chimera. This sets up the perfect stage to have a whole lot of mythic monster followers. The game is going to have an omniscient narrative approach. The tale is being told by Homer himself with his magical lyre, setting the mood for a storybook kind of narrative. If you like mythology, you know then that it's perfect for emulation telling. It can be done in a more serious and academic tone or a humorous and didactic manner, being the latter the main choice for this game, as stated by the game producers. And that is why they chose the graphical art style that the game has. Cartoonish looking games most of the times cause a community split, since there's a lot of people that thinks that this kind of art style is childish. I myself enjoy this kind of graphics because they never seem to age that much, and we have that proof with Wind Waker, right? If you have ever played the Wind Waker HD remaster, I mean, yes, there is a little bit of tone up for some textures and lightning redone in the game, but they didn't touch much of it, and the game looks gorgeous. It stands up to the time. Also, we have Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning coming the way, and while the gameplay and the trailers that we got for the game so far don't look like there's much change in it, the graphical art style of the game is something that I myself personally think that I will keep enjoying still because of how it is, how the game is. Those kind of graphics never age too much. That's something beautiful, I think. As for the gameplay, the core of the formula here is Zelda Breath of the Wild, with a blend of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. While the main star of the trailers is a female character, we do know that our character will be fully customizable, and maybe we'll have a character creation prior to starting the game, according to JStation X article. From the screenshots leaks that we got from the Microsoft Store, it's pretty much confirmed the RPG elements with armor sets and weapons customization. A few months ago we got some gameplay leak for the game on Google Stadia, and while it seemed to be an early stage of game development, the gameplay mechanics featured the same running animation that Alexios and Cassandra had in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, as well as the very same interface, which pretty much confirmed that the game is being built in the same engine as AC Odyssey. We had a stamina bar incline being almost identical to that of Zelda Breath of the Wild, if it's not just identical altogether. Now, prior to Ubisoft Foward event, where we do have the official confirmation for the game's new name, we got some more grounded graphic look at the game that highly resembles AC Odyssey illumination, fog handle and draw distance, but maintaining the cartoonish main art style of the game that it was shown in the previous trailers and also in this Google Stadia leak that we got some months ago. Having all of this in consideration, we can take a look at how the developers said the gameplay will be, and while I do think that we're gonna get gameplay showcase at the Ubisoft Foward event, I think it's safe to say that they're gonna maintain what they've been saying throughout articles and interviews. Fenyx will be pretty much Alexios or Cassandra going on steroids, as said by Jonathan Dumont, creative director of the game. With the Microsoft leak, we also got some details about gameplay, which stated that we would have powers like guided arrows and telekinesis, and if you played Odyssey and Origins, you know that we have that in both of those games. So I think it's safe to say that Dumont's statement about Odyssey's skills going on steroids is still true. Also, going back to the Zelda vibe, the Microsoft Store leak had details about special gods' powers to use in combat as well as in puzzle solving. We know as confirmation that the gods are bestowing the powers on Fenyx, the main protagonist, and these items might be key to maybe solve some dungeons with these puzzles, as well as to use them in combat in Zelda-like style management of items. Ubisoft has confirmed the presence of dungeons, but I'm very skeptical about this. Odyssey and Origins also had dungeons, but they were linear caves with some movable objects to allow you to go through, and the open world of those games, including Breath of the Wild, was so huge that they preferred quantity over quality. Most of us were disappointed about Breath of the Wild dungeons because there were just too many of them, and none of them were memorable due to the quantity chunk that we got. As for the open world, We had 7 confirmed different regions in the Microsoft Store leak, as well as the teaser for Ubisoft Forward showcase a higher mark of variety on biomes and that we had in AC Odyssey. Each region will be built resembling the specific God of said region. This merely a thought, but I would love to have just one dungeon for each region, dungeon that could be solved with the item power that the god gave you or will bestow upon Fenyx feature. Again, that we do have confirmed. Gods will be passing on powers to Fenyx. That will allow the main protagonist to fight as well as to solve puzzles. Although it is a hugely utopic thought, it would be nice if it was true. We'll have to wait for Ubisoft Forward event to see more of this. And if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing and stick around, like I said in the beginning of the video, because I mean, we all like gaming news, we all like gameplay, you're gonna have all of that in this channel, so do yourself a favor, subscribe to Merry Old James, keep having these chatters with me. You better be sure that I will be covering this game and a whole lot more on gaming RPG news. So, that old way, I'll see you beautiful, beautiful gamers, next one. Stay awesome.